Spider-Man, 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 Spider-Man. He does Spider-Man like Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. I don't remember the words for that song. It's better than the Batman song. So you read Spider-Man and hated it? Or something? I don't know. You said something about Spider-Man off air.
Well, the newest issue of Amazing Spider-Man, issue 26, the newest volume. They've been telling this whole big story. Like, the very first issue starts with Peter, like, in a crater, screaming something happened, and then it jumps, like, 6 months in the future, and, like, everybody hates him. Spider-Man did something, and all the heroes, even Aunt May's, like, pissed at him.
Whoa.
Yeah. They've been slowly telling that stuff for these past, like, 26 issues.
Please don't tell me he diddled a kid.
No. But kids are involved.
Oh. Gross.
But so they end up doing this weird thing where some kind of deity is coming after Spider-Man, and somehow Peter and Mary Jane get stuck to this ultimate, like, this weird other Earth in the future kind of thing where this thing's chasing people down and killing. It's a very doomsday kind of thing.
Sounds like a bunch of hogwash to me.
Yes. This thing is going after Spider-Man and has to kill it, but they have this transporter thing that can get him back home. And so, but when they're there, they run into this other guy named Phil. Phil's never good.
Phil is not good.
Yeah. So Mary Jane because like then if this thing kills Spider-Man, like everything's done. You know, it's all over for whatever reason. Plot. That's why.
Plot device.
So to save Spider-Man, because Spider-Man wanted to do the thing to send Mary Jane back to be safe, and Spider-Man was going to fight the thing. But Mary Jane is able to trick him and send Spider-Man back. And so so whenever Spider-Man's gone, this thing kind of disappears. So these two are just stuck together. Even all the way back in the first issue, in the 6 month ahead jump, we see these two, Mary Jane and this guy, they're together.
Oh, they're bumping uglies.
And they have kids.
Ew.
But like older kids, like 5, 6.
Radioactive kids or just normal kids?
To be determined.
Oh.
So like it's a lot of like, what the fuck is going on here? And then so this last story arc has been like this whole thing. And so what happened is like whenever Spider-Man got sent back to Earth, he did a whole bunch of shit to try to find a way back to that dimension for MJ. Stole things, pissed people off, did a whole bunch of stuff, teamed up with Norman Osborn, you know.
Ooh.
Yeah. But it was one of those weird where time's different, even though that like it was maybe like a day or two here, it was multiple years over there for them.
Right.
So they do end up falling together. So this last issue was the beginning, like whenever Spider-Man gets sent back, it's MJ and this Phil guys, like their journey, and like they finally decide to leave because MJ didn't want to leave where they were at because she knew that Spider-Man was going to come back for her, you know, because he's Spider-Man. But he eventually convinces her to leave, and like, you know, they're hunting and foraging and all this stuff. And where they're like scavenging for stuff, they find these two kids. So they take these kids in and they become this family and stuff, and they, you know, and Spider-Man eventually comes back, but like I said, it's been years for them. And so when he saves them, you know, MJ is like, I'm not going to leave him. Like, you know, but the thing that pissed me off, because like I said, when we first found out, because like that was the big cliffhanger at the first issue, is like, oh, because like, you know, MJ's has dated other people, but you see them coming home and the kids are like, Mommy, Daddy, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
You're thinking she got cream pied many times.
Yeah, and like we said, the kids are like, you know, they're not like babies or anything. It's like, when did this happen?
She was having unprotected intercourse, and a baby's popped out, is what you're led to believe.
Yeah. But what pissed me off
are they ginger kids?
See, there's a boy and a girl. The boy's is a brunette, and the girl's a redhead.
Oh, you fucks.
But what pissed me off is the fact that we found out, oh, they just found the kid. They're not their kids. They're not. And that pissed me off, because I was like, if you're gonna fucking do something like this,
what a lazy twist.
Just go for it. Be like, yes, they were been there for like almost like half a decade. They fell in love. They had kids. She gave birth to them, and because not only would that give them more nuance and just more of an excuse of like, or you know, reason of not leaving this guy, you know, because it's this actual family.
Yeah.
And you don't, like, the kids are just there. They just find them. They don't know, well, you assume that the parents got murdered somehow, but the kids survived. But it's just like, these are the only 4 people you see in this fucking dimension of horror and terror and stuff like that.
And this dimension doesn't have child protective services.
Well, no, there's like nobody there. It's very like I Am Legend kind of
End
like
of days.
Yeah, like, and I've been trying because people have been ragging on this book this entire run, and I'm like, well, there's some okay thing. I try to be a little bit more positive and, point out the good, the goodness other than the flaws most of the time, unless it's too bad. But like this explaining issue, and then, like I said, just like, if you were going to have them have kids, it should have been the actual kids.
Yeah.
Now, like, these kids can find their parents or whatever, and, they can be gone. They can be written off or whatever. It's
Batman gets orphans, not Spider-Man.
Right. Well, but see, they're not even Spider-Man's kids. They're Mary Jane's and this Phil's kids. Like, they're...
Oh, I assume Spider-Man would have took the kids over because he's the good guy.
No. Well, no, yeah, he did. He brought everybody back home.
Including the kids?
Yeah, including the kids.
What about the guy?
Yeah. Yeah, he saved everybody because he's Spider-Man. Because, like, once they got back home, like, Spider-Man went in for, like, MJ and then went in for the kiss and stuff, and she's like, oh, no. And, like, so they're still together with these kids, back home, and, like, everybody hates Spider-Man because of all the fucked up shit he did to go save Mary Jane and stuff.
So he's, like, the ultimate simp.
Yeah.
The only upside I can see for Spider-Man is that guy's probably going to get dick cancer from his radioactive wiener going in and out of... Because there's got to be residue, right? There's going to be residual radioactive waste left in...
Right.
I mean, if he's shooting his radioactive loads in there ever, maybe he wasn't. He looks like a rubber kind of guy.
Yeah.
Probably makes his own.
Just webs it up.
Well, maybe just...
Thwip.
You just... Yeah, thwip right in the hole.
Yeah.
You know what? That sounds like shit. That sounds like a shit comic.
Yeah, and it's very frustrating. Like I said, I've tried to look on the brighter side when it came to this series, because Spider-Man's like one of my all-time favorite characters, and it was just like that's pussy writing right there. You know
pussy writing.
You know what I mean? That's just like not wanting to commit to the thing.
Yeah, that sucks. You know, it doesn't suck, Spencer.
What's that?
Our sponsor today, Two Pitchers Brewing.
Shut up.
That's not really our sponsor, but I am drinking a Nordic Jam by them. It's a lager with Nordic fruits, and it's delicious. I'm just practicing for when we actually get one of these beer companies to sponsor us.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, nice. Unlike that Spider-Man comic.
Yes.
That whole thing sounded terrible, and I don't ever want to read that.
No, you don't.
But our episode won't be terrible, because you know what we're talking about today?
I don't know.
Video games, Spencer.
Yeah.
More specifically, the best stories in video game history.
I gotta imagine there's gonna be like a lot of like the RPG, like Final Fantasy.
Listen, I only looked
Zeldas.
at one entry on the list, and I think you'll dig it.
Yeah.
It's the very first entry. We'll get there, but first, you want to take us to space?
Yes.
You are listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast, and this is not our second time recording this intro because...
It's been like our fifth.
Yeah, we didn't bail on the original idea because it sucked so bad when we were recording it. This is completely new.
After like the third time of trying to record that.
This has not been a good day for us, folks, just so you know, but we'll try to make the best of it. I am your host, Caleb James. I'll keep your name, though. Spencer, the Norwegian Nugget Nudger Church.
Yeah.
I'll make the Jakes. What kind of nuggets you nudging? Man nuggets? Okay. Fast forward through that.
Meat nuggets.
We made all these jokes before. If we had a Patreon, I would keep the bloopers.
That'd be great.
To be fair, one time we recorded a very long episode, and at the end of it, we're like, that was so terrible. We deleted the whole episode and just did it again better. But that doesn't happen too often. So we're going to discuss, Spencer, the 10 best video game narratives.
Yes.
Narratives. This is from CBR.
Oh.
You're a big fan of CBR, aren't you?
No, not really.
No, they suck ass?
Well, because it's supposed to be comic book resources, and it's...
No resources?
It's video games, it's wrestling.
Pop culture.
Yeah, that's hardly ever.
I hate when old media switches over to just popular shit, but keep the name. It keeps the name. Because there's a lot of different ones where it's usually comic related. It's like, oh, the comic book, it's supposed to be all about comic books, but it's never about comic books.
Because they used to, and I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff, I'm sure it's probably a good website. But like they used to have like interviews and articles about different things, and
they sold out, man.
And yeah, they went like everything else. They just went whatever you do to try to get clicks, you know.
Yeah, gotta stay in business, I guess. Number 10 on this list of the best narratives in video games, Heavy Rain. You ever played Heavy Rain? I have not, never even heard of it. This was released in 2010. Heavy Rain introduced the gaming industry to fascinating narratives. Can you believe it?
Yes.
Not interesting narratives, fascinating.
Fascinating.
The video game has a disturbing premise centered on a serial killer who murders their victims slowly by drowning them during periods of heavy rainfall. For a second, I thought that was going to say drowning them in periods, and I was like, oh, that would be, that's bad. Could you imagine a serial killer that drowned you in menstrual blood? It'd
have to be like a female serial killer, right?
Getting revenge on the man because he doesn't understand the pain that the woman faces during, and just makes these stupid jokes like we're doing. We'd be ripe for getting murdered in serial killers' menstrual blood, I would think. Ew, but I don't like to think of that. So anyway, heavy rainfall. So if it's raining heavy, don't go outside. That's all. Gamers play as 4 characters throughout the narrative, all connected to the killer in some way. Heavy Rain gives players options at crucial moments, allowing them to sway the narrative and change the course of events. Almost like a choose-your-own-adventure, maybe. That's what I'm getting the feel of. The lives of the 4 protagonists are in the player's hands, entirely dependent on what they choose to do and say. Now and then, gamers encounter quick time events where they must make choices under intense pressure. I always hated those because it's like, hurry up, press X and square. Like, you're like, what the fuck? Like, because, if you don't, you get blown up or something.
And then, they normally, shake the handle and, have, the edges of the screen, go red or black.
But it does make it more immersive, so I understand why they do that. That sounds like a cool game. I like the idea that you could, choose your own adventure, kind of. It almost reminds me of the old Super Nintendo, I believe it was on, Maniac Mansion series.
Ooh.
That was kind of like a point-and-click game from what I remember. Not a strict point-and-click game like Shadowgate and stuff like that, but you have characters, but you click where you want them to go and stuff. But you could play as multiple characters, and they all do different things, and you can have different endings depending on which character makes it, and it was pretty fun. Number 9. Undertale. There's a little picture of a tiny little pixelated man that says, "We'll be together forever, won't we?" Ooh. Maybe I said that menacing. It actually looks kind of like Link from Zelda. So maybe we'll be together forever, won't we? That's probably more. It's probably not a horror game. That's what I'm saying. And by the way, folks, I'm sorry. Me and Spencer and I, we are not up to date on video games.
No.
I stopped playing in the 2002 era. I played some PS3 and Xbox One and all those kind of games, but they weren't my games, and I did not spend a lot of time. I have a vague knowledge. You probably have way less than me, I would imagine.
Yeah, because you
weren't even a big gamer, really, right?
Yeah, and the stuff that I did was things like Madden and 2K and that
sports games,
that kind of stuff.
Well, Undertale is an indie role-playing game about a child who has fallen into a magical underground realm just beneath the Earth's surface. Oh, damn it, I'm writing a story about that right now. Fudge
nugget.
Nobody's ever heard of it. Maybe there was a story about a girl who fell down a rabbit hole and ended up in some kind of dreamlike wonderland.
Yeah.
What was her name? Ashley? Agnes in
Elisa?
Dreamland?
Elisa in Hallucinationville?
No, that doesn't sound right either. Esther in... No, that can't be it. Anyway, despite the simplistic 2D interface and bullet-dodging battles, Undertale's narrative is whimsical and heartfelt. The monsters that players meet along their journey are dying to get back to the surface after humans trapped them underground. It's not the monsters' fault they were born monsters.
You are kind of going in their area.
Yeah, you took their area and you sent them underground, and now you're going to go underground? Why? Can they have anything?
You're right. That seems a little messed up.
Undertale offers an alternative way of playing games compared to most mainstream titles. Gamers will get alternate endings to Undertale depending on their playstyle and choices. If players can get through the narrative without killing a ton of monsters, even if it means running away from a fight, they'll have an easier time during the final boss battle against Asgore Dreamer. That was the book we were trying to think of. Asgore Dreamer.
Yeah.
Asgore. Asgore. If you had one more S in there, Asgore is a different kind of thing.
Yeah,
that is bad. That's like a C-list horror movie.
That's a whole nother story.
B level. That honestly, that game doesn't sound very original to me. That sounds like I'm sure it's fun, but it sounds like many stories I've heard before, and then even the same trope of, well, if you're nice to the monsters, you'll find out. As I was saying before, they're not bad guys.
No,
it's not their fault they're monsters. They didn't choose to be monsters, at least in this story. They were just born to be monsters, and you invaded their area, you colonizing fucks. Leave the monsters alone.
You assholes.
Stop subjugating the monsters. Number 8, Detroit, Become Human. That's the name of the game. Detroit, Become Human. And it looks, I'll have to show you this, Spencer. It looks weirdly realistic, but in a AI kind of way that I don't like.
Oh, yeah.
Like the faces they have here. I don't know if that's a screenshot of the game or not.
Everybody's constipated.
Very. You know what? It reminds me of like the old Perfect Dark and James Bond, GoldenEye.
Oh, yeah.
For 64, where they had like those faces. But even old wrestling games for 64, they had the faces, but they never moved.
And they're like weirdly plastered on there.
Yeah.
On their square head.
Yeah, so some semi-real. These are more realistic looking, but again, no emotion. Created by the same team as Heavy Rain, Detroit Become Human focuses on the character arcs of 3 androids. Well, maybe that's why they look like that. See, you need to start reading these before you fucking flap your jib, Spencer.
Yeah, I am an asshole.
As the title suggests, the narrative shows how each playable character slowly edges towards becoming human, despite being created as subservient robots. That almost sounds like a book we read that's based, well, a movie I watched, I don't know if you ever watched it, that's based on a book we both read that's not really similar at all to the movie, but the movie deals with androids who are kind of subservient to humans. It has the word blade in it, and people do some running action. I don't know if you know what that one is. Players have a say in how vital events play out and even how particular characters react to them. There are many occasions where protagonists can die in Detroit Become Human, but the script is written so that the narrative continues despite a seemingly important character's death. That's cool. It's like almost like realistic.
Yeah.
This raises the stakes and creates a fresh and exciting game experience. But again, the actual story sounds similar to things I have witnessed countless times in my days. What's next, Spencer?
I don't know. You tell me.
Number 7.
You tell me, bud.
Until Dawn. Now that is realistic. That must be like a newer game.
Yeah.
That looks, see, I don't know if I'd like playing games that are too realistic. I'd be like, you look at the creeps. This dramatic horror video game utilizes, did they have to say video game all the time? We know what it is. It's a list of video games. Quit saying video game. Horror title. Say horror title. It's more professional. This dramatic horror title utilizes the formula of a slasher movie, following 8 characters with tenuous relationships. They must each fight for their lives over the course of one night in a mountainous wilderness setting. Until Dawn features a butterfly effect system, I love those, whereby a butterfly will appear on screen when players have the chance to make life-saving decisions. Oh, that's like too on the nose. I thought it meant like you make a decision and it affects the whole outcome of everything else.
Right.
I didn't know they actually had a butterfly show up. That's a little...
Flapping my wings.
Oh, the butterfly's here again.
Flapping
this is
my
important.
wings.
I would rather it have, you don't know what's important, so every decision feels vital.
Right.
Each character in Until Dawn has the potential to die, keeping games on the game. Why is it saying keeping games? Keeping gamers on their toes and the edge of their seat simultaneously.
That's a weird position.
Yeah. Yeah, that is
I think you got a real bad poo.
That was just a bad sentence. The gameplay and brutal life or death stakes lend themselves perfectly to the intensity of a horror movie, even forcing players to keep their controllers still in the face of terrifying threats. Ooh, that's cool too. Mechanic, you gotta. What if you have a palsy of sorts? Like that's kind of fucked up. Or what if you're just like a lot of gamers out there have certain disabilities and handicaps? You're dealing with your hands or you have tremors. You can't play this game. That's fucking rude. Maybe you probably turn that off. I would think that they would make that so you could turn that off. Number 6, The Last of Us. You're a big fan of the show, aren't you?
Never watched it.
Or is it a movie?
It's a show.
You watch any video game movies and shows that you like outside of Sonic and
Mario?
No. The Last of Us carefully weaves a morally conflicting storyline through the characters of Joel, a smuggler, and the sparky teenager Ellie. Joel is tortured by his daughter's untimely and violent death as the onset of a global pandemic, a kind of mutated fungal infection, Ellie might be the cure, bitten by the infected, but never turning into a cannibalistic monster. I have never heard of a story where they have a fungal infection that turns people into zombie-like creatures. Never heard of that before. Not once. No books, nothing.
Though at least these ones, they have like a weird, like almost kind of like a Stranger Thing, like head opened into a mouth kind of thing.
Yeah, but I'm kind of tired of those.
Yeah. That is like a lot of like head mouths.
I feel like that's probably just easy to make CGI-wise.
Yeah, there's probably like a template or something.
Yeah. But anyway, apparently this game, it dazzles players with exceptional world building, visuals, characterization, versatility, weaponry, and stealthy gameplay. Apparently it's one of the great games. I always hear people talk about it. So check it out if you are interested. Number 5, What Remains of the Edith Finch? That's wrong. Number 5, What Remains of Edith Finch? Fuck. Who names anyone Edith?
Let alone a game.
You know what I would get her name right? If instead of Edith Finch, it was Edith Putty. Her last name was Putty. What remains of Edith Putty? I'm a child. I am a literal child in the brain. Number 5, What Remains of Edith Finch? What remains of... How many times I gotta say this? What Remains of Edith Finch is played from the first person's perspective. Help me all right over there. Edith Finch. You all right over there? He's played from the first person perspective. Probably Edith Finch. I don't know. Helping to cultivate an intimate gaming experience. This exploration video game has a captivating narrative following a 17-year-old who has lost her entire family and is navigating their old home. On the surface, this video game is just a simple walking simulator. Walking simulator, huh?
I don't like that.
I don't like that. He says I don't like it.
I don't like walking in real life.
Just walk a barren wasteland for miles in a video game. The storyline brings What Remains of Edith Putty alive as a playthrough. By interacting with particular objects like books, for example, players can view vignettes of various characters' deaths. They act as self-contained stories within What Remains of Edith Finch, the vignettes differing in style, mechanics, and genre. So it's an interesting title. It looks interesting. I like walking sim. We're just gonna shit on all the games. We're gonna lose so many gaming fans. To be fair, folks, I do like games. So I would play all these and probably enjoy them. It's just they don't seem very, the best narratives ever. These seem kind of like tried and true tropes for the most part.
You see if you could try to find some of these games on your thing.
My emulator, it does not work with the newer games. The emulator I have only goes up to, it doesn't go up to the CD games.
Oh, okay.
I was going to get a new one that does, but even that only goes up to like PS2 maybe. It does, like the new ones are too, like you need too much memory.
Yeah.
Number 4, Firewatch. Firewatch follows Henry, a fire lookout working in Shoshone National Forest, in the wake of personal bad news and widespread fires the year before. Throughout the first-person perspective video game, Henry speaks with the supervisor, Delilah, via a walkie-talkie. All the while, a strange mystery begins to unfold. Throughout Firewatch's adventure narrative, Henry and Delilah's relationship blooms. The players receive dialogue options, including one to not speak at all. These decisions inevitably alter how the characters develop and grow, creating a nuanced storyline. That's kind of cool. I've just never talked. Let's blow right through this. Yeah. Number 3, Horizon Zero Dawn. That's a big...
that one sounds kind of familiar. I might have heard that one.
I don't know what I'm looking at. Is that a dinosaur made of bones with a flying saucer for a head?
That or it's wearing some kind of hat.
That's a big sombrero. Is that Jason Momoa, the main character? I don't know. Released in 2017, Horizon Zero Dawn is an action role-playing game that spawned a franchise. The open-world video game setting merges ancient and futuristic imagery to produce a fascinating narrative. Well, I guess I called that. In this post-apocalyptic world, robots and machines are ancient, and they're suddenly turning on the remaining humans. I hate when that happens. Happens a lot, actually. Believe it or not.
Nobody likes the remaining humans.
Nobody ever likes again, just like we talked with the monsters. What? Just leave us alone. I'm not hurting nobody. Well, maybe we did, and that's why we deserve it. In like the Terminator world, I understand. Like, seeing what we do with robots now, I understand why the Terminators would come after us. Makes sense. In Horizon Zero Dawn, gamers play as Alloy, a skilled hunter with an array of weaponry such as traps and spears. Players must use Alloy's skills to defeat wayward technological creatures and discover the truth of her past. That sounds a lot like the new Predator movie where we have indigenous Americans fighting the Predator with traps and, archaic weapons. Not even archaic weapons. What would you call that? Because archaic weapons, I think of like medieval swords and stuff.
Yeah.
Primitive.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because I just
modern primitive.
Yeah.
Bows and arrows.
Yes.
Number 2, this is a super famous one that I've also never played. Half-Life.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
Half-Life changed first-person shooter games forever back in '98. See, I could probably play Half-Life on my emulator. Maybe it was for PlayStation. I'm not sure. Gamers play as Gordon Freeman, a scientist trying to escape a research facility after an alien invasion, an event he is somewhat responsible for. The game storyline is handed to the player subtly. Why is there a B in the word subtle? That's what I want to know, Spencer. SUBTLY should be subtly. Why? What? Who created that fucking word?
Somebody's just trying to put that B in there real subtle, like
some fucking dick. The gamer's storyline is handed to the player subtly through scripted sequences and is less reliant on cutscenes. Science fiction writer Mark Laidlaw was brought on board to shape Half-Life's narrative, and it shows. I don't know why I said that so aggressive. Especially at the end of the game, Gordon is absurdly given an offer of employment by the franchise's most enigmatic. I'm having problems. Also, this drink's making my lips stick together real bad. So Gordon is absurdly given an offer of employment by the franchise's most enigmatic character, G-Man. Number 1, I really actually did. I almost thought about buying one of the new systems to play this game because it looks so good. Ghost of Tsushima?
I don't know if I heard that one.
It's like a samurai game or something. I don't know. It looked fucking cool. Set during the first Mongol invasion of Japan, players control samurai Jin Sakai. Ghost of Tsushima, I think I'm saying that wrong. Narrative is centered on intriguing characters who guide Jin's personal journey. Players must decide whether to follow the traditional codes of honor or use the stealth tactics of the Ghost. Ghost of Tsushima's team was heavily influenced by Akira Kurosawa's films, even including a black and white setting to fit the mood. This action-adventure game's narrative is alluring, especially because the development of Jin's fighting style directly corresponds to his internal struggle. I really want to play that, actually. And I'm a big fan of Akira Kurosawa.
I mean, yeah, and that one actually seems like lives up to the title of the article of
interesting narrative.
Yeah.
Original narratives, the best narratives. Not on the list, because my initial idea was stories, and our episode that we botched and bungled and then just deleted before we started this one was actually 30 best story narratives or something along those. I think best stories in video games.
Something like that.
That list was more varied, but some of my favorite, as we mentioned on the deleted episode, was Chrono Trigger, like Earthbound. That's the precursor to Stranger Things almost.
Yeah. Because
it's just a bunch of kids. Of course, it came out before then, but this was a Japanese game, so it's hard to say. But it has a lot of those elements, horror and fun, and just, a bunch of kids getting into mischief. Ragtag group, like that stuff. What about you, Spencer? You got any ones? Don't say fucking Mario and Sonic.
No. Yeah.
A lot of the GTA games were fun. I mean, they were just rip-offs of, like, The Godfather, or San Andreas was a rip-off of, like, Boys in the Hood and stuff. But
one thing like that is, but, like, how many people actually played the game? Like, how many people just didn't do the cheat codes and fucked around and blew shit up? And...
Oh, I beat the games, and then I fucked around. So, that's about it. I don't know. There's other games, but those are the top 10 best narratives, Spencer.
According to CBR.
According to your favorite comic book resource website.
Yes.
So anyway, because I don't want to do them any more than I have to, let's just end the episode. Just fucking end it.
That would probably be best for the listeners and us.
I feel bad because last week we said we had a good episode today, and I don't feel like it was a good episode.
No.
I don't feel like I was in a good mood for a good episode.
No.
It's in a bad mood for a bad episode, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, were you in a good mood for a bad episode?
My beer was good. That's all I know. Anyway, I am your host. You could follow my stuff that I do sometimes at calebjamesk.com. Spencer doesn't have a professional website like me, but he does have an OnlyFans. And this week, or is it month? We do weekly, so I guess it has to be every week you change. That seems very arduous.
Yeah.
So this week he is the Norwegian Nugget Nudger Church.
Yes.
Originally, he was going to be a Narwhal Nudger, but I couldn't say Narwhal for some reason. I couldn't put it all together. Narwhal Nudger. Now I got it. You could be either, whatever. Those things are big. I don't think you're nudging those.
No.
And they live in the ocean. The cold ocean.
Ooh.
You could also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at DPW Podcast, where we post only the top stuff, man. Only the best of the best.
Cream of the crop.
Creme de la creme. Creme de la creme, Spencer. Also, I don't really have any great writing news, but I am about to finish a story I'm working on, which I'm submitting to a few places. I also submitted to a couple other places that I'm going to tell you off air that are kind of cool.
Nice.
And then I cured my own medical ailment. You know what my medical ailment was?
What's that?
Got clap first. I was going to say genital warts, but I don't know if that's still a thing. Do people have that anymore?
There's probably some people out there that still get it.
You have to be the biggest fucking idiot, though. As soon as you see genitals with warts on them, just don't touch it, right?
I mean...
When the only option is touch or don't touch, I just feel like don't touch would be... Like, anything lumpy.
There's probably people out there that like it.
But, well, probably some people like the ribbed, the bumpy shaft, I would think. Maybe. I don't know. How did we get on this? Anyway, folks, check us out next time when we have another episode. I'm not going to say good or bad this time. Just another episode.